Hello YouTube, this is Big George from HRJ Customs, just checking in again this week and let you know what's going on with us and some of our projects. We got some new stuff in the shop this week. You can probably see it in the background there. And we've got some new projects showing up all the way from the West Coast. Hopefully next week it'll be here on the back of a truck and tell you what's going on with our racing program and how we're moving it forward. Biggest piece of news for this week is that we've got a 1953 Ford Vedette in the shop. It is one of our good friends of HRJ Customs asked us to help him out and do some work for him on this car that he brought from Europe. The Vedette, if you look at the side of it, you look at this body line in here, kind of looks like a 53 Mercury. It's got that same body line. 53, I think it was either 53 or 54 was the last year for the Ford Vedette. The next year it became the Simca. These cars were manufactured in France. This car, obviously, judging from the lettering on the side, was in France. Maybe our customer got it out of France. Excuse me. It's got this wacky hole in the roof going on here. It was used as a tug at a local aircraft facility, moving planes around. Kind of a strange use for it, but it had the Ford flathead in it, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a flathead guy, but from what I understand, these cars were the French flathead is the desirable one that everybody wants now. It's missing out of this car, so we'll just have to only wish about what could happen with the hot rod flathead motor. But at any rate, this one is going to get, you can see it is a little bit rusty. I think we're going to do some rust repair on it, some fabrication. I'm going to have to get my shot bag and my English wheel, I think, working on this thing, because it does have some rust in just about all the areas. It's got some floor work that needs to be done. What the first order of business is, we're going to be fitting a modern small block Ford and a T5 5-speed transmission in it. Get that kind of mocked up in there. It's got the original front suspension on it. I think we're going to change that. Going to talk to the customer today about actually putting something like a Fat Man front end on it, put some good brakes and suspension on it, and so we can drive it. He wants to make it in kind of a hot rod. I know it's a 4-door, but he's got kids and stuff, so he wants to be able to put them all in there. He's a upholstery guy, so he's going to be doing his own upholstery for it. He's getting that all set up, and actually I'm going to try to talk to him about maybe helping us out with a couple projects that need some upholstery work here. Okay, as you can see, of course, Hypnotic 357 is gone and down the road, and our customer there is quite happy with it. But it's given me just a couple of days here of slack time to get my stuff ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get eye level here. This car needs it's a 1997 Ford Probe Pro Stock car. It was originally owned by Hurley Blakeney. It was originally built with a small block and a turbo, and then it was converted to a 500-inch Ford motor. A fellow named Mark Wolf from Washington State was one of his crew helpers, and he bought this car from Hurley. And then not long after that, I bought it from him as Mark moved on from this car and focused on his turbo stuff. When I got the car, it was less motor. Everything else was in it. Had the Liberty and everything in it. And I ran the car with this motor. As soon as I got it, I put the, I sent the titanium can off to be re-drilled for GM because that's what I have available. And at the time, the Ford stuff was just not all that great, and that's actually why Mark and Hurley, I think, got out of it. It was not as competitive as the GM stuff, and there wasn't enough on the market, honestly, too. So I picked this motor up from a guy out of Cleveland, Ohio. It's a 459-inch motor. It was a record holder in B altered for a short time, and I bought it from them and from him. It was originally a Larry Morgan Pro Stock motor that had been de-stroked down to roughly 460 inches. Since then, I ran it with the Liberty, and then I moved on. Life moved on, and so I parked it. I've parked it for a while, and what I did during that time was I kind of re-engineered it. I changed the camshaft, changed the crankshaft around a little bit, made the rotating assembly a little bit smaller. Bob Book did the carburetors for me, tuned those up. I did some work on the cylinder heads, also to give it a little bit more breathing room. And I think that the motor should run pretty good. It did run on the dyno, ran pretty well. Now, then it sat again. Life happens. So sometimes this stuff has to get parked, and so it sat again. So now we're ready to get on out again. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, this slack time that I talked about is allowing me to kind of to focus my attention on this and get this done. I'm only about maybe a week out from everything that needs all the little stuff. Excuse me, all the little stuff that needs to be done. Like mounting the scoop. It's a different scoop that was in this car. I've got to do a little bit of carbon work to make it work. And then when I originally filled this thing up with fluids, it leaked everywhere. So we changed a number of things. We went to the Bruno and the Lenco, and it's got a lot more lines in it. It's got a transmission cooler on the front of it. I didn't go to the external cooler. I might do that later, but this is just easier. I'm thinking about between rounds. It just might be easier for me. These engines do require a lot of maintenance. I did correct some of the valve spring problems that this motor had, and they're fixed, but that doesn't mean that I still won't have to change them at the track. Occasionally, you try to time them as best you can. Okay, that's going to wrap it for this week. Just wanted to check in, let you know what's going on. We're doing some race car stuff. I know I'm going to be working hard, and our intern is going to be I'm going to be cracking the whip on him here all this summer. So this will be a chance for him to get some good stuff done and some good experience. Please visit our site, support us by buying our Ramwood Park shirts. I got them on sale on the site. Hats, Scullies, things like that, and help us get out to the racetrack. I'll give you some updates on the race car here pretty shortly. I hope, if everything goes okay, it seems to be moving quite along quite normally, so we should be able to go get this thing out here pretty soon. I am going to have to relicense for NHRA, so we'll be doing some videos at the track as we go through that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go. I got race car stuff I got to do. So you guys take care. This is George from HRJ Customs. We believe in horsepower.